How could people take orders from these pieces of shit? And they do, because they lost their fight. And I have to tell you again, it's proper language when people is trying to take your life and freedom away from you. Tell them to fuck off. I had enough of it.
Coming in, I'm going to. Hey. There.
So,
because the people are late coming in, I am going to show that again because I think that's great. I threw that together in 5 minutes to go. It's good. Yes. Good evening, gentlemen. Richard D. Wollenscroft, Motor Mouth and extraordinaire. David Thrussell, the man who gets you kicked off anything. And Damien Richardson, my partner in crime. Damien. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of...
How do you know it's me?
Yes, Michael.
How do you know it's
shut
me?
up, guys. Michael and I are talking. We're spending time together.
There's a lot of suspicion that we are being listened to. Is there someone over your shoulder?
Oh, yeah, actually. Whoa, sorry. Whew, there is. And I'll tell you why, too. I put him there because, look, he looks so groomed and well presented. He's obviously just had a haircut. And I wouldn't mind, Dan, having a haircut myself if that's possible at some stage.
I would like one, too.
One.
Shoulders up.
To get him to look like Grizzly Adams.
Well, that's
is there even such a thing as an unvaccinated haircut nowadays? I mean, does that even exist?
No.
It's going to be another few more months before the unvaccinated are going to be able to get haircuts.
I'm just going to have to get a pair of clippers and start doing it myself.
I think so. Maybe we could all cut our heads off and go bald.
Now,
getting ready for the resilience camp.
Yep,
before we start, just to see if we're safe, on the count of 3, I want us all to go, fuck Dan Andrews. 1, 2, 3. Fuck Dan Andrews.
Oh, jeez.
Well, as the member of controlled opposition here, I couldn't mouth those words, and I couldn't come out with it and say that about the glorious leader, the great dictator, who everybody loves in Victoria, as we well know.
Now, before we go on, this week, starting with this, there was a doctor in Colac that was offering exemptions. And they got shut down. There was going to be
bless him.
Going to be deregistered. Anyway, I did an audio recording of a man who'd been there, who's very upset. He did this beautiful recording over the phone of what happened. It was really moving. It went viral, and then Channel 9 took it, and they only took little bits of it to make it look like the man is appalled at the doctor. And so Channel 9 is stealing our stuff. So here it is.
I know.
Nice job.
From him saying
flattering.
That no one's getting turned away. He's going to see every single person. He said to the police officer, "Are you here for an exemption too?"
With more than 50 cars parked off the isolated road, word spread fast.
The fact that we had a doctor who was giving it out to us was like, this is unbelievable. The crowd was emotional.
And this is my stuff.
I saw people cry. There was people in tears. There was people who then started shouting abuse at the police. And I mean, not nasty abuse, but just saying, shame on you, which I felt was justified. And, I even said to the police officer, how can you sleep at night?
Michael, can I just say, when I posted that, because I found that so riveting that I posted it on Facebook and said something like, this is riveting, mainstream media, take note, this is how journalism is done.
And
maybe someone went, I will you one, and I will use that and manipulate it.
Yeah. They not only took note, they went, Pango! I can have a late lunch because they've done it for us.
Remember that footage? It was from one of the demonstrations in Melbourne, and it was of the guy kind of punching the horse. Now, even I looked at that, and I thought, oh, that looks bad. There's a guy kind of like smacking a horse in the face. But then I saw the actual footage from the demonstration where basically the police was, basically they were charging demonstrators, and the guy kind of like puts up his hand to kind of defend himself from being trampled. And then the media just happens to get that shot of the hand. Oh, gee, the horse is about to hit me. But it sort of can look like he's punching the horse. But that went everywhere. And then I remember posting the actual video footage. It didn't really affect people. Like they could see that, he wasn't attacking the horse, that actually he was defending himself. But again, it's like people are so brainwashed at this stage that when you present them with the actual truth They don't care. They prefer the lie. I mean, this is even one step beyond Stalin. I mean, like Stalin would remove people, and would change things, but he would at least, expect people to believe the change story. But if it would have somehow leak within the Stalinist media that all different, maybe they believe it. But the level of brainwashing we're seeing here is the next step. What do you think, David?
Well, it's only because he didn't have this level of technology at his disposal, did he?
Sure. No, he didn't. No.
It's taken it next level.
Very sad situation.
I butt in, David.
Stalin book. David, are you there? Would you like to comment, darling?
You're right, mate. What's happened to David? Have you got a light in that room, mate?
I've been asking him for weeks.
I live
in the country.
I live in the shadows, I'm just ready to exit any moment. When the SAS guys come down through the roof, I'm ready to go.
They won't see you. They won't even know you're there.
Look, I saw that Colac thing. It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, as Michael and I discussed the other day on the phone, I mean, these are the pivotal and obvious moments of totalitarianism. I mean, that heroic doctor in Colac, as you saw in that news report where they plagiarized your business and manipulated it. They've declared him an enemy of the state. That's precisely what they're doing with that doctor in Colac. He is an official enemy of the state.
Enemy of the people. Enemy of the people.
Enemy of the people. This is totalitarian playbook 101, this kind of stuff,
Well, Sydney took it one step further. So Sydney, there went a viral video of someone went to get a takeaway coffee and the woman wouldn't serve him because he's not vaccinated. She said she wanted to see his papers and, his passport. And he said, I don't have to show it. And he videoed himself doing it. The entire city turned against him on social media. He had to come on Channel 10 and apologize, almost like Goldstein in the thing. But, when they apologize before they get taken... When they apologize before getting taken off, that's how that was. I mean, I was sitting there going, oh, my God.
Yes, so they had a show trial. It's one of the other classic moves of totalitarianism. They had a show trial. And the show trials are very quick these days. It's 30 seconds on Channel 10. That's the show trial.
So that's what that doctor done.
He had to offer up the compulsory apology at the end of the show trial.
That's right.
Well, did you see they had the show trial for
the
January 6 insurrectionists as well? So we follow the copybook from America. So for the January 6 insurrectionists, they had the show trials.
First of all, they weren't.
And there was an African American security guard there saying, that all these whites were around him, calling him, well, this is the No Goat Show, calling him nigger, and so what are you doing here, nigger, and stuff. And it's like, hang on, there's hundreds of people there. Everyone's got a mobile phone, yet there's no footage of this moment where there's all these white people calling this guy, and it's just like, it's extraordinary. It's just absolutely incredulous that it'd be happening, but of course, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yes, they lie. I mean, they're professional liars. It's what they do for a living. I think they don't even comprehend. They're so on board with the program. I don't think they even comprehend that they're lying constantly about everything. I mean, point to me the thing that the mainstream media is not lying about. Show it to me, because I'm not aware of it.
Remember that lie too? At the height of the protests, there was a story going around that protesters, obviously you, Michael and Damon, you were there, that they were spitting on like people who like nurses or something. This is the last thing. This is a nonsense. This is the last thing. I just know this is the last thing that would be happening. If they were to see them, they might talk to them. They might try and convince them.
How could you? Why would you spit on a nurse?
Exactly.
It was me.
Also, with so many people around, someone would have filmed that. But of course, there's no footage of that.
No, never any footage.
Never any footage of the false accusation.
Someone who didn't want to get vaccinated, desperately needs their job, can't pay their rent, went and got vaccinated, and afterwards the vaccinator gave them a little sticker, goes, there, you've been vaccinated, and the person screwed it up and threw it at them, and that's happening a lot. Apparently, a lot of the vaccinators getting upset because the people are angry because they've been forced to do it.
I mean, Scott Morrison, our supposed Prime Minister, who's basically been a non-entity through most of this crisis, who says that this isn't mandatory. I don't know how he's allowing. I mean, he's supposedly from the Liberal Party, which is the Party of Liberty. And, he hasn't supported anybody who's just wanted to fight. a couple of kind of Liberal Party members like George Christensen.
He's blackmailed. He's completely blackmailed.
We know that, but I mean, we hope that, we would have seen a little bit more fight from the Liberal Party. I mean, obviously George Christensen, and there's obviously that, what's the name of that guy teamed up, Craig Kelly, who's teamed up with Clive Palmer. They're speaking out against us, but that's all the resistance that you're seeing.
Okay, he might be blackmailed, but listen to this for a second, because this is something Michael and I found out the other day, because we did this show and we talked to Louisa, who's a woman who works within the Liberal Party in Victoria. And I had a friend who watched the show who's quite well connected within the Liberal Party too, and she talked to me the next day and she said, oh, well, no, because we were really curious as to why the Liberals weren't going hard to outflank the Labor Party and say, well, we're going to go this way instead, but they're sticking really close to him, saying, well, the lockdowns are really important. We just do it a little bit better and all this sort of stuff, and mandatory vaccination is probably really important too, but we just do it more efficiently, whatever it is the Liberal parties think they do. But ultimately, what my friend said to me was, oh, no, the Liberal Party want to keep Dan as the leader because they think that's their best chance of winning back office. Because he's so toxic. Because he's so terrible. They would like to prop him up and keep him in there. Yeah. And you go, oh, my God, they're playing the political process instead of playing for the people.
Well, yeah, I picked that up. And that actually, and to be honest, from a Liberal perspective, that actually makes sense. Because I think the Labor Party should have gotten rid of Daniel Andrews a while ago. All this branch stacking. I mean, people should remember.
They still might.
I think the Labor Party hopefully will get rid of him. But, branch stacking.
She was saying they don't want to put,
it's election corruption. It's official corruption. It's basically what's called election fraud. And there's like 7 or 8 ministers that have been involved. Like 3 or 4 of them have resigned. A couple others had to take a back seat. It's unbelievable.
He got rid of Luke. He got rid of Luke Donnellan, his minister for the aging or whatever it was. Yep.
The other big thing today this week, there's 2 things. One, I've got some very bad. David.
He's there. The light.
David. David.
The light is right.
I got some very bad news for you.
David's come onto Facebook to meditate.
Apparently, the price of unvaccinated sperm has gone up by 22,000%.
Well, is that good or bad?
Well, apparently, if you were born now, if you were a young man now, you literally could have wanked yourself into the top 1%.
Yeah. Where was this? When I was a young man, I'd be a millionaire. I'd be like Elon Musk.
I'm going to get a yacht. I'm going to get a yacht. I'm going to go to the moon. I'm going to get my own spaceship.
Thanks a lot.
Old unvaccinated guys like us just can't take a trick. Haven't got any sperm left.
That's right. I'll give you $100. Now, the other thing is that the court. Now, I've been listening to the court. I get hard reaching the court thing, but you're looking at the court thing and what other lawyers are saying about it. What they're actually saying is that this judge has basically said, you got no freedoms. And apparently with the other court cases that have failed, you have no freedom of speech. You got nothing. It's all an illusion. I didn't expect any help from the courts. I mean, the courts are one of the things that the cabal corrupted a long time ago. He pays him. Come on.
Well, particularly the Supreme Court, which is a state-appointed court, but it was the New South Wales court, so it was the Liberal state-appointed court. Yeah, maybe the High Court.
David made this point on another show. He said that you can scream and yell about human rights, and you can scream and yell about it's not mandatory, it is mandatory or whatever, but you won't ever get a court to hear you. At least you'll give you the result you want to hear because of the corruption. I mean, this is the real pandemic.
But let me just say, David, you went on another show.
You've been on mine. The report from
All right.
Sorry. I was so busy making all that money that it corrupted me,
Did you kick that one, get that one kicked off YouTube, or were you just sabotaging us?
It's just sabotaging us.
That avenue is no longer available to me, so I had to go elsewhere,
Hey, Michael, can I put
David's still up. They didn't take him down.
Can I put a question to the guys? Something was suggested to me the other day, or something I thought when someone was talking to me, that perhaps the reason why Michael and I perhaps haven't been arrested is because actually we have become part of the controlled opposition. That now we are a meeting place, a conduit for people who are obviously clearly upset with all the mandates confronting us to come.
Well, that new Lamborghini at the front of that new Lamborghini at the front of Michael's house was a bit suspicious. I mean, and, and the
okay.
BMW at the front of yours, you know, I was a bit like, I didn't know you guys rolled so high.
I have to say, last week, a few days ago, Dan actually said, we're not going to be a lockdown state anymore. We're going to be a locked out. And I thought, fucker! Stop stealing my shit!
I know, they're all tuning in.
Channel 9 stealing my recordings. Dan Andrews is stealing my title. Fuck off!
Yeah. What more do you want from the unvaccinated? We can't earn any money. You're stealing our stuff as well, our copyright.
This, you know, I mean, this show's probably popular with people, you know, within the government because it's a bit irreverent. As I said, it's what a show like The Drum or the 7:30 Report or the Q&A, it's what it should actually be doing. It's having people on with various different opinions, you know, on this crisis.
Hang on a second. What is this different opinions that you speak of? What is this thing? It sounds...
Well, we all have slightly different opinions. And what's yours?
You know, isn't that illegal? Isn't that like you heard of this other thing?
Yeah, the great singularity is upon us.
I don't even want to say it. Freedom. You've heard of that other thing? That's
liberty.
Freedom.
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 Ugly, despicable idea.
Well, now look at what they did last week. Basically, Freedom Day. So basically now, freedom means slavery or slavery.
Or it means segregation and apartheid. I mean, you know,
they've taken doublespeak to a whole new.
I always associate freedom with segregation and apartheid. I'm sure you do too. I always think of the great South Africa and its good glory days. Whenever I see the word freedom, it's just like it's like Nelson Mandela locked up and then
that's right.
Stand out whipping people. You know, that's freedom.
So that's freedom. Now,
they're mocking us, guys. They're mocking us.
Integrity used to be a doctor who puts his career on the line to help people, but now that's selfishness and cowardice. Integrity now means compliant silence. So if you're compliant in silence, you have integrity. And,
what's extraordinary too, that this is a real issue that hasn't really come up, is that religious, there'd be a lot of people who would want exemptions to this for religious reasons, because there are people who don't take vaccinations. Some are members of what's it called, Seventh-day Adventist or Jehovah's Witness or some of the more radical Christian sects. But there are people who are just, I guess, what you call more fundamentalist Christians, whether they be Catholic or Protestant or whatever, who have a problem with at least some vaccinations. But that whole issue has been kept out of media altogether. I mean, have you got the guys got any comments on that? Because
I was talking to a friend. Well, the other issue is that they reckon there's aborted fetuses in the line.
We all know that
they've been hiding.
That's what I was saying.
There's all kinds of things.
He got a job for the government, and he's Russian Orthodox, and he was worried about that because there's fetus material.
Of course, well, there is. We know there is.
Yeah. And of course, but who do you go to for that and say, "Oh, look, government, I don't want to do it because I'm really a devout Christian, and it goes against my religious convictions." I mean, really, you think this government's going to say, "Well, no, fair enough. Christians are pretty important. Christianity is the important thing."
Again, the Liberal Party should defend that.
I have to race in there and say, what's going on here? Why do they need to put something that, honestly, in my view, this really smells like the occult, you know, to make people inject these very, very strange things. Why does it have to be the cells of an aborted fetus?
I don't know.
Sorry, I smell the occult actually in there, you know? Okay, sorry.
Well,
it's the death cult. I mean, the globalists are a death cult. I mean, that should always be remembered. They really are a death cult. That's a
question. I don't know if she's listening. Someone asked us a question, and actually, before we ask that question, I spent 4 minutes getting this opening together. I'm just going to do the start because it makes me happy. Now there's actually people to watch it, so everyone missed it. So I'm just going to show the start. Here we go. That's so sad, but that's how I actually feel. It feels
great
like
Nicholum for that guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great to Nicholum.
It's a sacrilege to handle Messiah, surely.
Well, I expect you to do that at some protest.
We do not know how to manage his freedom. So it's going to have to be managed.
See how fast you run with the dogs chasing you.
Yeah.
Sorry, David, I couldn't hear you there, mate.
The
I was
cabal's-
just saying straight to Mickleham for that guy. He can't manage his freedom, so it's going to have to be
That's
managed for him.
Now, question from a user. I don't know if they're on because it's all new to me. This thing, I don't think Rumble people can comment. Why someone said she believes everything, but if they're trying to kill us, why are they trying to kill us? Apart from the fact they don't like us, why are they trying to kill us? Anyway.
David?
So, well, look, I mean, they've said it pretty openly, really. You know, I mean, and I'm not an expert on this, but you know, Bill Gates, you know, is obviously some sort of eugenicist, and I mean, I think this is a problem really with this sort of Promethean class that we have, who see themselves as this sort of new deities. Really, they see themselves as these sort of Zeus-like characters that we, you know, the underclass, the peasantry, really, we are expendable and we're just in their way. And I mean, honestly, I think they try and sell it to the lower level of the cabal as a sort of a climate emergency house cleaning operation. I think that's how it's sold to these lower levels, like probably your Dan Andrews and your Brad Hazards and all these fools. You know, possibly either they're blackmailed or they're in on this sort of, you know, cleaning the slate kind of idea to save the planet. But my suspicion is that at the top echelons, they simply regard themselves as Prometheans, as deities, and we are there to be done with whatever they choose. You know, we're simply.
And also too,
Can I throw
I
in
studied
one
eugenics. I studied eugenics a fair bit. I mean, it kind of dates back to a guy named Francis Galton in the 19th century, who was a kind of relation of Darwin, and also I think his name's Charles Huxley. You know, these guys, eugenicists see what they're doing as good. I mean, that's the important thing. You should realize that if there really is a depopulation agenda involved in the vaccine or involved in what's going on at the moment, they see that as a good thing, and that they would sleep very well at night in the sense that they are doing basically, you know, saving humanity from itself, and that there will be some survivors, obviously, and together they will rebuild the human race together. It's kind of a bit like Dr. Strangelove. I don't know if you know that character from the Stanley Kubrick film that I love, you know, where he's like, oh, well, you know, things have, you know, the world's come to an end, but, you know, we will all go down to the bottom of a shaft and we'll need to bring down, for every one man, we'll need to bring 5 women and we will repopulate the earth together, you know, I mean, to these, and they will literally believe that, you know, and, you know, I think this is the kind of situation we might be in if what we fear about these vaccines is true, that it is some depopulation agenda, but I'm not so sure. I think it's got something. I mean, I do think there's an element of
just before you go on the second thing, and that's a bit there. Years ago, about 10 years ago, there was a lot of stuff on extending life, and there were scientists from around the world. Then a Russian oligarch bought every single scientist in the world who was working on extending life and preventing death.
Peter Thiel, that's right, Peter Thiel.
He took them all. What if they've discovered it? What if the billionaires have actually got it, that they can live for 200-300 years, and now they're looking and going, okay, we're gods, we've become gods, what do we want to do? This planet, we can now look after this planet, we can remove a great chunk of these people, change everything, and actually make a healthier planet full of animals, full of this, a smaller population of humans, and everyone can be happy. Like getting you back to the Garden of Eden, except that you're allowed to eat the apples.
I don't doubt that they think they're honestly, I think that, I agree. I think they would think that they're doing God's work. I actually have a friend who used to work for Rupert Murdoch, and he would meet with Rupert Murdoch, you know, one-on-one and directly and so forth. And I had to ask this friend of mine, I said, because I've never been a fan of Rupert Murdoch at all. And I had to ask this friend of mine, so what are these guys, these Murdochs, you know, how do they, you know, because at the time I was very unimpressed by the way that they pushed, for example, the Iraq war so hard. You know, they pushed this obscene war of mass destruction and bloodshed. You know, the Murdoch press pushed it so hard, etc., etc. And my friend said, look, no, you don't understand. They absolutely see themselves as the good Samaritans, these people, you know?
Yeah,
that's what's scary about them.
And that ties into the quote from C.S. Lewis that we published, a few of us published on our Facebook page, is that, no one is more dangerous than someone who believes that what they're doing is for the good of humanity. And because essentially, and two, I mean, if you want to, we don't always want to bring things back to the Nazis, but that's the way the Nazis saw what they were doing. Mm-hmm. They saw what they were doing, and the people like Himmler and stuff would send out messages to the lieutenants and stuff saying, look, we know this is hard work.
And when around the time we were born, us guys, I'm assuming we're all around similar age. There's a book called The Population Bomb by I think the writer was Paul Ulrich or something. It was like a number one seller. Number one seller on the New York Times bestsellers list, and that's like over 50 years ago. This has been going ever since. There's always been this concern about
the original
population. And to start the century, though, like there was about maybe 3 billion of us. Now there's like 8 billion. It's more than doubled in a century. There's 8 billion people on the planet. So there is some legitimate concerns if you don't believe in a higher power or God or something. You think, no, the rational human needs to deal with it. Yeah. So
the one agenda to which I've always been opposed to almost every single what you would call agenda of the globalists, except for one. I understand depopulation. I've studied a guy called Sir Thomas Malthus. He's a 200-year-old philosopher. Obviously, he was a kind of religious teacher, and his philosophy is called Malthusianism or Malthusian, right? And that's basically he predicted that humanity would get to a point where it would become unfeasible for it to continue to grow, and essentially, there would be mass starvation, mass whatever. And obviously, that's the narrative we're being pushed at the moment with global warming and various kind of millennial kind of feeling apocalyptic kind of scenarios. That's what Greta is saying. Everyone's going to die, whether it's true or not. But obviously, humanity will reach a point where it really is overpopulated, and that maybe I don't know. Maybe this is the agenda, and that
maybe this is actually a good thing. I mean, it's bad for us, but maybe
not if we don't take the vaccine. Maybe it'll be good.
If you can just get in, if you just can get in that 1%, and at the moment, like I said, the only chance you have of getting there at the moment, especially if you're unvaccinated, is to masturbate your way there because unvaccinated sperm's worth so much. That's it. So I'd start wanking as soon as you get off this show.
Yeah,
Michael, you got a head start.
You're really raising the tone, Mike. Really raising the tone.
Thanks. But the problem with that argument, and obviously we understand, perhaps the mindset behind it. But the problem really, ultimately, with that argument is that these people think that they can play God.
Of course. Yeah. And I mean, it's a deeply ugly thing to think about.
And philosophically, the arrogance behind this is kind of breathtaking, and the concept of who gets to choose. Well, if we're right in our thesis, a bunch of pedophile billionaires get to choose who populates the planet and who doesn't.
Yeah. And it's not as if this hasn't happened before in history. I mean, this is essentially the main motivation.
God, that's what makes them so scary. So we've got a question.
The Bible's got a quote for it. Thinking themselves wise, they became fools.
Yeah.
Thinking themselves wise, they became fools. And I know what you're going to go to, Michael, the question. Could I say?
Yeah, got a question.
They talk about a crisis of masculinity, right? And is the crisis of masculinity confronting us the fact that the earth has been explored? So it's pretty much a sedentary sort of community that we all experience now, massive big government, but we don't have the technological advances yet to explore space. So we're sort of stuck. That Promethean idea that David was talking about, we are
into space this week, didn't they?
Well, for a brief flight, but that's not moving into sort of ideas like populating this. So who's to say that we won't end up there eventually? And that will solve this population crisis that we've got, because look at it, it's huge. It goes on for infinity.
And the I
honestly,
on purpose,
I dispute, and I could be wrong, but I dispute all of these bedrock assumptions, actually, because all of these assumptions that we're talking about are transmitted through the media, and the media is controlled by the enemies of humanity. So I don't even believe their figures when they say there's 7 or 8 billion people. I have no way to verify if that's actually true. When they say that at the beginning of the 20th century there was 1.6 billion people on Earth and now there's 7.8, I have no way to verify whether that reflects reality in any way, shape, or form. This is simply information that is transmitted to us through the channels that are owned by the eugenicists. You
Well,
know,
of course,
so
I'm lying today.
do I believe any?
Yeah.
Do I believe their arguments that the Earth can't? Perhaps the Earth can sustain 20 billion people in comfort. I have no idea because all these arguments are transmitted through the media and through academia, and we can't trust anything.
And to agree with that,
any of them
David,
say.
our life expectancy is longer than it's ever been, even when the Earth had a much smaller population base. So there you go. There's
our lifespan has increased. There's no doubt about it. So at least until the vaccine. So.
Well, I'm not sure.
Shall we get to this question? We've got a question here for ages. We've got an audience question.
Plutarch and these guys, they were all living till they were 80 years old. You know, who knows?
Audience question.
In the Bible, they live until like 790 and stuff like that.
Well, you got Job.
Sorry.
Question.
Michael who?
Guys.
Michael who?
Where do you see Victoria? Where do you see Victoria's? You don't need that thing. In 6 to 12 months. Still no jab, no pay, still lockdowns, etc. in 6 to 12 months. I have no fucking idea.
Okay.
I think that the lockdowns of the unvaccinated, like the fact that we'll be kept out of the economy, I think that'll disappear after a couple of months. I hope in Victoria, but Daniel Andrews will keep it around as long as possible, definitely till Christmas for the unvaccinated. I think, and that will force a lot of people, who just want to go to just to a restaurant or the pub, to actually just go down, roll up their sleeves, and take a shot of the AstraZeneca or the Pfizer, and away you go. So I know so many people who have been coerced in the last 6 weeks into taking the jab, and I'd say half of them were anti this particular vax. I mean, I've had vaccinations before when I went to Africa. I mean, it's not like I tested all the vaccinations I had when I went to Africa. I tested the history of them, and I looked up the risks of them, and I thought, well, there are a lot of very serious for them, and I did, and they were fine. And I went to Africa in 2009. So it's not like I've never taken vaccinations before. It's just, I don't know. You just always have to assess the risk.
You see, everyone says that, though. Even that Liberal Party guy, when he starts his speech, he goes, I just have to all my vaccinations.
Well, that's,
they don't
in relation to COVID.
Flying fuck. We don't care about those other vaccinations. They were safe. We want to take you this one because this one's going to kill you. Now,
and that's really funny because they always say that Sky News is really right wing, but everyone on Sky News basically says, "Oh no, the vaccines are really important." But if people want to have choice, I mean, I'm vaccinated, but if people want to choose not to, they should be,
allowed to. And of course, that's Murdoch to a T. Murdoch is one of the most clever globalists because he assumes the position of controlled opposition. And that's his whole thing. I mean, it's totally essential. Many, complain about Murdoch, but he really creates a kind of fake. He's a genius.
Well, he is.
He's dialectical.
He's a media genius.
He
really is.
Okay.
And I should exclude Corey Bernardi from that list because I think maybe Corey Bernardi doesn't. So I just wanted to put that there. Sorry, Michael.
Corey Bernardi. Yeah. Did anyone see that piece about poison that says vaccinated people are no longer considered to be human? No, I didn't see that. Did anyone see that?
I saw that.
Aren't we still talking about Victoria in 6 months' time or something?
Yeah. What do you think, David?
Well, then maybe that's part of the answer.
I mean, I can make a couple of. I mean, they're just predictions and speculations, of course, But the first point I wanted to raise is that you don't build the infrastructure of totalitarianism and then not use it. Okay, so let's not kid ourselves. That it's all going to be pixies and unicorns and rainbows at some point. Okay, that's not really. They've been relentless in their march to totalitarianism. Sure, they might let us off the leash a tiny little bit for a few weeks around Christmas or something or other. Maybe not. Who knows? But I would note a couple of things. I would note, for example, that from what I've heard from people I've spoken to and things that I've seen, this date of October 15th is happening all over the place. People are telling me this is happening in the States as well. This is the vaccine mandate date all over the place. People in Italy are telling me this date, October the 15th. So what I would surmise from that is that they have a schedule, okay? And they're very keen to meet their schedule. So that suggests
their targets.
To me,
their targets.
There's some other nasty things are coming down the track, and they have a schedule.
That's what I would think too.
Them. I would assume, for example, just on the local front, that they're going to make vaccination mandatory for school kids. I think that's going to come really, really soon. I think that's incredibly ugly, despicable development. But I would note that if you've noticed, you may not have noticed, but at the moment they're doing this staggered kind of school days kind of thing to suck the kids back into the school so that they can close the trap on them. This whole thing looks like a series of rat traps to me.
There's an audio of a teacher about that.
Okay.
There's an audio of a teacher basically... it's called brainwashing the kids
in Adelaide,
and in Adelaide, and the kids are questioning it, and he's just deriding them, saying, "Hey, I haven't finished," and going on and on. And but one of the kids cleverly recorded it. Now that's gone viral on Facebook. But yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's
but it's like this creep, isn't it? It's this creep that they do, David.
It's not even creep. I mean, it's actually where we are because we're right in the locus of this thing, the nexus of this thing. We're the testing ground right here. We're ground zero. We're the eye of the totalitarian storm. You know, we're seeing what we're not really seeing a creep of totalitarianism. We're seeing a relentless march. You know, and I would imagine it's going to get. I actually think it's going to get much worse. And
I agree. I agree.
When this happened in relation, when the vaccines first appeared, there was this constant thing of like, you know, it's people over 18, right? And then they said, you know, that's who, you know, because COVID doesn't really affect young people. We don't need to vaccinate them. That was the narrative. And of course, we all know the shifting goalposts and everything. But now these vaccines haven't changed. The Pfizer and the AstraZeneca haven't changed. I don't think the AstraZeneca is approved for under 18. But the Pfizer, which one was that? Even Pfizer itself, when this came out, said, I wouldn't really give it to young people. The vaccine hasn't changed, but the approval has. So I think they recently approved it for 5-year-olds to 11-year-olds. Think about that. That's young children. They've approved this thing.
That's the bit about the creep I mean, because it was like 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Now it's 2 years to flatten the community. I mean, seriously, this is insane.
These vaccines are not needed for children. It doesn't affect children. And now, hang on, we've got to give it to 5-year-olds in kindergarten.
But David's right, too. It's an avalanche as well. It's an avalanche of change.
And it's a psychological operation. We are in the middle of a psychological operation.
Yes,
so all
absolutely.
These have been sprung on us, you know, and that's one
of many cases.
Say what you said to me the other day, because this is where I think we should go with what's the rest of this conversation. You said the other day on the phone to me, we are in the middle of a mass psychosis cyclone. And I saw that the other day. I've got a friend, I don't know if she's on tonight. She was in a country town, walking down a country town. A woman with no mask, a woman with a baby attacked her, grabbed her, and said, "You're going to kill my baby." And then she sort of held the woman back, and then a mob joined the woman with the baby and were attacking her, going, "Leave her alone, leave her alone." She goes, "I wasn't doing anything. She attacked me." And she said they were going crazy. What has happened to society and this is what we're talking about, this mass psychosis? Is there any way to have people go, okay, to stop? Because at the moment, not everybody, I meet people who seem very lucid and clear, and then I hear others who are bonkers. And
we're surrounded by, right now, to be honest, in our experience, we're surrounded by people who are losing their shit and saying and doing things that are completely irrational and behaving in incredibly irrational ways. And this is what happens when a society is, frankly, destroyed. You know, I mean, this is the upshot of this psychological operation to destroy people's rational faculties. You know, this is what we're in ground zero of totalitarianism. It's not in a history book anymore. You know, much like probably you guys. You know, I'm pretty well read on the 20th century history, you know, and I understand the currents of it in a general sort of sense, you know, but it's different now. We're in it. You know, we are at ground zero, the eye of the storm of a totalitarian state.
Yeah, we're like that.
It looks like, you know, this is absolutely what it looks like. It looks like the guy in Colac being declared an enemy of the state. It looks like these sort of witch burning rituals, like what happened to the lady you were discussing. I'm hearing these sorts of stories all the time. These sort of Salem witch trial, mass psychosis events. I'm hearing them all the time. The media never decry them. The politicians never decry them because they want them. They absolutely want these things to happen. This is how you destroy a society, through this sort of psychological operation and mass psychosis. This is how you do it. You destroy it through this stuff. I mean, it's like when they arrested poor pregnant lady in Ballarat in front of her children and the whole thing. I mean, you don't do that unless you want to send this vile signal, this vile sort of ripple that's going to cascade through society and start spreading psychosis.
That's right. I mean, that happened.
A lot of people I knew couldn't handle that at all. They were pretending that was a fake setup. And even when it was proved not to be a fake setup, they just stopped doing it.
And
well, very much like that old woman.
Not one politician and not one police official. Nobody said anything about that. I think the closest thing I saw myself was Daniel Andrews, of course, saying he hadn't seen the footage, so he couldn't comment. None of them.
It's like that old lady at the demonstration. They with that. I mean, this story that it was actually a young man in a wig. Kind of went out into the conspiracy community. A few people bought it, but as I know, you spoke to her and she was a woman. And then that was just left hanging there. And then that was never addressed at all. There was one disciplinary action in relation to that cop who grabbed that guy at the station and threw him onto the ground. I think they thought, well, we've got to sacrifice one. So they gave him a slap on the
And what does that mean? He was still on full pay, I believe.
He had to go sit behind a desk for a week and then get back out there and kick heads. So, that wasn't really much of a... I imagine it wasn't much of a disciplinary action.
Dan was asked David moves. They're all the classic moves of totalitarianism. This is what you do. Right. You have these random acts of violence and psychosis to frighten the population. The media and the government remain silent about them. They say nothing about them.
But then, David, if we are so rushing into totalitarianism, I mean... How can we resist it? I mean, wouldn't a smart person go join the Politburo right now and
that would be wildly
David, let me get in there because I got told something else today that was quite harrowing. So I was told by a police officer that I'd interviewed what's happening. A lot of police have left or they've gone on holidays because they're not obviously they haven't taken the jab. But he was talking about the culture and he said, I'm not going to lie to you, Michael. In the culture now, there is a lot of police going, well, it's better to be the oppressor than it is to be the oppressed.
Yeah.
So
the problem with that logic is that logic does not last for very long, because the totalitarian system will eat itself and it will eat the people that it decides it doesn't need anymore or who are expendable. So at some point, the majority of those police officers will be eaten by that.
But in the immediate thing, you want to show your ideological purity. I'm more ideologically pure than the next guy, so please don't come to me, as if it's going to save you in the long run.
Leave me to the last.
So right now, though, that would mean that if you're in the force, you've got two options. One, you want to back off and be ostracized, or two, maybe three options, hide. But the third one is, well, if I actually crack a skull or show some aggression, even if it's filmed, the public might be outraged, but my bosses might actually give me a pay rise or move me up.
Daniel Andrews might make me chief of police one day,
Yeah, that's right. So there's a great sort of incentive to be ever more violent, and that's what we're seeing.
And they're probably glad that Craig and Crystal, those two police officers that left the force, they're probably glad they left. Get rid of them. And they probably hope they drag some of their mates or their like-minded, police officers with them because they don't want them.
They believe in freedom and human liberty and human rights.
They need the belligerents in the force. But it is like we're at the beginning of we are the epicenter at the beginning of the Bolshevik Revolution.
Yep.
And who can believe that we are at the epicenter of it in Melbourne, Australia? I mean, it's extraordinary.
It's breathtaking.
And why is Victoria? Victoria seems
the reality of the situation. We have to face this. There's no hiding from it.
I can answer that one, Richard. I can answer that one. Now, when I was in the arts, when I was in the musical, why is it happening and why did they choose Melbourne? When I was in the arts, if they wanted to put on a musical that they thought was maybe might not work, like the one with King Kong, the fucking huge gorilla on stage, they tested it in Melbourne because if it failed in Melbourne, the rest of the world didn't give a shit because it was so far away. So they could test it in sort of, just anonymity almost, they could really test it.
Backwater.
And they did this. They did this a lot with a lot of musicals. And then I found out from IT people that they've been doing that with programs and all sorts of stuff. Melbourne is a testing ground because it's
a beta model, like in
it's a beta city. It's actually
not only that. Australia is a beta model for the US, and they test their products. Remember when they had that new improved Coke? It was about 2008. We're going to change the recipe of Coke. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to love it. And it absolutely bombed. And they were testing it out here. Never even made it to America.
There you go. So that's what Melbourne is. So that is why I think they've just gone, let's test it out in Melbourne. The only thing they failed to do is social media, like Rukshan and all these others, have got the videos out to the world, and the world's gone, whoa. Is that
funnily enough, the world seems to be paying attention to Melbourne at the moment.
Yeah, they are.
So you're all aware of that.
But I say this thing is so insidious.
The world are on it.
We're on Candace tonight. There's a huge show on Candace Owen.
Extraordinary Candace Owen show this week. Extraordinary.
That was extraordinary.
They always offer this hope as well, right? I'll just say this because I think this is of some interest. Like with Southwest Airlines, okay? So many of the pilots just said, stick your jab up where the sun don't shine. We ain't taking it. So they had to stop 50% of their flights or something. So now there's no mandate for that airline industry, or at least for Southwest Airlines. And so we all get to sit back and go, see, when the people stand up, it's all right. It's not as bad as what everyone's saying because they let it go there. And further down the track, when the time is right and they find the way to remove those people, like Dan Andrews has found a way to remove the people that won't give him the extension of the emergency powers from the parliament, real sleight of hand stuff. The same thing will happen to Southwest Airlines and that entire industry as well. So you always get this false hope, and then it's dashed, and then you're left nowhere again. You're left with old morality that teaches you to operate in a particular way that these people aren't operating in because it's a pure grab for power, and it does no morality.
Yeah. I totally agree with what Damien's saying, and I wanted to say about the police. Actually, we're discussing this: if you can't beat them, join them, sort of thing. But absolutely, as Damien's saying, it's a moral choice. Actually, it's a moral choice. Are you going to stay with the police and crack heads for a few shekels and a little, pointless promotion, or are you going to make a moral choice and do the moral right thing?
And we've seen too that it only takes a few dissidents like Solzhenitsyn and a few others who survived 20 30 years of Soviet oppression that can bring down a regime like the Soviet one, which obviously fell around
but he survived in a gulag for many
if we're going to have a few years of Mickleham, gang.
And we saw that gulag to that. But the other thing too, a warning to everyone out there who's thinking of going across, your morality won't survive. You cannot take your old morality to where they want to go. You've got to get.
I'm a definite believer in the old morality.
And one thing, and this will sound ironic, but I'm actually not trying to be ironic here at all. But one thing to keep in mind is, historically speaking, totalitarian systems always eat themselves eventually. Always.
And collapse under the weight of their own evil.
I know, well, I suppose, let's say, that the globalists know this as well as we know it. Okay, so this is why they've bided their time and waited for technology. They've waited for technology, and they're hoping that technology will be the thing that changes the game plan. That means that totalitarianism won't eat itself this time. That the technology is their thing that will get them over the line and means that they're totalitarian.
Perpetrated forever, in a 1984.
That's right. It'll last forever. But historically speaking, totalitarianism always eats itself. So they
can replace us. They can replace us with their artificial intelligence. They don't need us. They've got robots ready to go.
Obviously, that's one plank of their platform. Is they want.
There's more workers than they could possibly need.
Will defeat that. But we can hope and hope and pray and try and do our best that technology won't defeat us, and that eventually, at some point, the totalitarianism will eat itself because it is in opposition to nature. It's in opposition to every good force of the universe, what they're doing, So
it's in opposition to love. It's actually in opposition to love.
Unless they have a plan, like I said, they're going to, if they can get through, like Cruel to Be Kind, so they're going, okay, we're going to do this awful thing, get rid of all these people, make it really hard, it's going to be really tough, but once we get through it, we're going to have a much smaller population. The world's going to heal. It's just, what's the difference between them thinking like, when we go, oh, look, we got to cull a load of roos on this golf course. You know, we don't mind the roos there, but there's too many roos. Or in Africa, where they go, oh, there's too many elephants in this park. Going to kill them. It's going to be awful. It's going to be dead elephants. But eventually the park will be better off before it. What's the difference to people
I can point out one fundamental difference
to do to us? Yep.
Well, I can point out one really essential fundamental difference. You don't see any roos culling the roos. Okay?
That's
supposedly these beasts, these Prometheans, these globalists are the same species, the same flesh and blood, the same
they don't think they are. They see themselves as
that's right. They're Prometheans. They think that they are way, way above us.
Nietzschean. It's Nietzschean. They see themselves
but you
as
don't see roos culling themselves.
I think
you don't see any other animals culling themselves.
I agree with Richard. I actually think that, like I said, if they've somehow felt that they've
all read Nietzsche, definitely,
that they are the superior man, the Superman, that's
Superman,
where they're coming from. And
that's the thing is they see themselves as the next step, and you know, it's even in Nietzschean philosophy that one can embrace evil. You know, Beyond Good and Evil is about this, and other books, and Nietzsche's right behind me on my shelf here. So, you know, he's definitely a philosopher of the moment that, you know, no one talks about, of course. You know, but you know, I mean, his ideas sent him mad, didn't they? His own ideas sent him insane. So there's a delight in store for the globalists, because I think these people don't know what they're doing, and I think that old-fashioned morality. I believe there is a God, and one of the reasons I think there's a God is because of exactly what's going on. Because we're confronted with this extreme evil.
Old-fashioned morality is actually almost natural. You know, if you went to most societies in the world, I know there's some like the Incas that were killing people, but I wonder if you went to most societies, there'd be a form of our morality within any society, because that's how it's.
Some savage societies, no. Some very primitive societies, no. It's civilization has always been this thick, and I had an uncle of mine always used to tell me this. Civilization is always just this thick, and as soon as you scrape the surface, savagery is within everybody. And also another writer who really influences my interpretation is G.J. Ballard. G.J. Ballard is a great science fiction writer who wrote about the contemporary now. And he always wrote about how everything just kind of goes wrong in various different kinds of dystopian science fiction scenarios. And I think we are literally right now in a G.J. Ballard kind of situation where everything is turning to shit, and we're about to enter the stage where everything gets really, really bad. That's my prediction.
You know, I heard of a group of chimpanzees, two groups of chimpanzees. I think they're in near the Congo, and they're on either side of the river. They've never met because the river's too thick. One side is nurturing and caring, and that's their group. The other side is murderous and almost like totalitarian, and they actually study them, going, wow, this is how they both react.
Operate.
You know, this one's very, very, very aggressive, very violent. So maybe it is just what leader gets in, or how the culture takes a turn. I don't know. Because
so is this part of humanity? Is this just part of the cycle of humanity? Because it keeps happening, happens time and time again. Is this just something that does happen throughout human existence? It's the way of the biological.
You look at the great dystopian science fiction novels. I mean, obviously not in any full one, but another one is Lord of the Flies. You know, I mean, where a group of young boys go to an island and everything starts off well in a kind of utopian situation where the young boys can do whatever they like, but very quickly it descends into kind of tribalistic kind of mass psychosis and violence, where they want to kill Piggy, they want to kill this person and that person. And I always loved that novel when I was a kid growing up.
William Golding, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was so spot on. With David. So evil certainly succeeds for a while. It makes a fast start and has a head start, but ultimately evil implodes because it destroys what it depends on and falls upon its own dying power.
So is that how it cleanses the body politic? That's what I was trying to say. Is that how it cleanses the body politic? So we have to ask ourselves those fundamental questions that we've stopped asking ourselves for a long time.
Yes, this is what we hope, because evil is ultimately it's parasitic. You know, it has to live on other things. It has to live on things that are healthy and are good. And if it destroys them completely, then it dies. You know. And I mean, the other thing is historically. And I'm about to go slightly into the twilight zone here, but I do wonder. I don't know, but I do wonder if we have faced similar things in the past. I mean, we have the legend of Noah's Ark. We have the legend of Atlantis. This highly advanced technological society that is also very arrogant and greedy, and it destroys itself. I mean, there are all these things etched in our collective history that kind of tell us about this moment. I think,
Yeah, I mean, Martin Heidegger, who's again behind me on the wall here, he's one of my favorite philosophers, and he made a comment about what you could be called ultimate evil, or he says the apex of destruction or the apex of evil is sort of so evil that it destroys itself. You know what I mean? It and I think this is a problem the globalists face, is that they are so evil that the velocity of their own Machiavellianness comes back on them, and then if anything, they'll just end up unveiling themselves before all of humanity.
They push for transhumanism. I suspect this is why they're pushing for transhumanism,
which
to actually
is an
replace
mRNA vaccine.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe.
Bingo. Yeah. To replace the mechanism that might be their downfall, which is us, which is the human soul.
But even that self-knowledge gains them nothing at the end of the day, doesn't it? Because it's like the addict. They know not to involve in the addiction, but it still brings about their destruction.
Yeah. I just want to bring up an image, which I think...
And it's happened before in history.
This is from the Shrine, but I think it clearly shows the old Australia and the new Australia. I think this is I didn't take it, but I think it's such an important image for our history. And it's there. So here they are, the Aussies, just happy-go-lucky.
Right-wing extremists and health officers.
But basically, she'll be right, mate. All multicultural. And that's what they're facing. Overwhelming odds of this orchestrated and this before it. I also
a bunch of peaceful health officers there to help.
That red ensign too. The red ensign.
Yes, I just want to bring up
well-armored naturopaths.
Naturopaths, yeah.
Yes.
Someone want to give you a massage.
They will have needles for us unvaccinated one day.
They want to give you a massage and loosen you up, limber you up.
I just want to bring up a few of the comments just before we go out, because we actually have to do a second show tonight, about 15 minutes after here. I'm late turning in. I got fined today. I didn't make it as a Superman. Just had a 65-year-old friend telling me, as no one else cares, or he can talk to, that since the jab he has had lower back pain, getting eye problems, an arm has pain on and off pain, and not worked for a few weeks and will stop.
Look, I mean, regardless of what I think is going on with the vaccines, I just think, one of the main accusations is that there are heavy metals in them. But this is not the first time we've all been poisoned with heavy metals. Obviously, there's aluminium in the water that we drink, the tap water that we drink. And, there are lots of other ways, like the deodorant, it's got like heavy metals in it, and that you use the organic deodorant. I mean, David Russell put me onto that, getting using the organic one about 10 or 15 years ago. So you should try and take out heavy metals, because maybe that's all they're doing. They're just putting heavy metals.
Well, you stunk when you came over the other day, mate, I tell you. Whew, I don't know if
there you go. That's David's deodorant. It doesn't work, but
David, let him go.
Don't get the heavy metals.
He might live a little less, but
that's
the
thing.
Use
organic. The best way to use David, the best way to use organic underarm deodorant is to live in the country a long way away from anyone else.
That's true.
That's why David thinks it's fine. It's like, it's fine. It's fine.
I can't smell any of you from here.
You said something. Someone hit something on the road. Is that rude?
Well, we can still laugh, boys. That's the one good thing. We
got 2 minutes. 2 minutes left, because we've actually been from now on we're going to be streaming. I don't think we're doing it tonight. We're going to be streaming to a new independent news media in Sydney. I've forgotten the name at the moment, which should get me in a lot of trouble. But so we're going to be streaming, probably not with this show. We're going to be streaming there as well as everything else during the week. So just to help spread our thing. So we're going to meet the guy and one of the reporters from that. So we're going to 8:45. We're just going to have we won't go for an hour.
Another chat.
Yeah, he actually gave press passes to all his journalists today, and they got arrested anyway. They just got arrested. So the press pass means nothing anymore.
Means nothing.
Well, in that answer to that question too, like of where we're going to be in 6 to 12 months as far as the vaccinated are concerned, unvaccinated, and I couldn't say exactly, but in 6 to 12 months, Melbourne cannot continue to just be the epicenter of the beginning of the Bolshevik Revolution. It has to spread, because otherwise it's unsustainable. Because everyone will say,
otherwise
"See you later, Victoria."
Apart.
Because there's who's going to put up with this? You just leave. So it's to spread. It has to spread.
Yeah. And they will.
Final thoughts,
ladies
and gentlemen.
I'll actually usually go last, but I'll go first. I have to say today I was in the car with Damien. We were going out for a drive somewhere. We'll talk about it later, and we actually went to see the resilience camp. But all the way there, every time we were in the city today, everywhere we went, there's fear. And when I'm here now, I don't know if Damien feels it, but I hear a helicopter going over and waiting to stop. So there's a constant level of fear now in your soul that you can't remove. And that's from what I've seen in the protests. And that's
it's like the graphene oxide in the vaccine.
That's it. You got to live with that constantly, thinking, have I said the wrong thing? Is someone going to dob me in? I'll move to Richard. Have a final say, Richard.
Well, I mean, I think we are in distressing times. As we've constantly done these shows every week, and we've all been in relative agreement about that. But I do think that speaking out in this way, that there is a resistance to this, and it's not just from people who are unvaccinated, it's from people who are vaccinated who still have a sense of human decency and a respect for human rights. And I think if we keep doing that, like 1,000 Solzhenitsyns, we'll bring down this totalitarianism in this great country, Australia, that we've all lived in all our lives, and that we will fight, fight the forces of evil to defend. So I salute you all, gentlemen, and thank you for having me on this show.
Thank you, Richard. It's an honour to have you on. David, your go.
Look, I wanted to raise what I thought. I think Damien mentioned this last week, and I wanted to run with it a little bit, and that is, if you know a little bit of 20th century history, you know that when they succeed, when the totalitarians succeed in squashing all obvious public dissent, that's when they get really nasty. So we need to make our most desperate measures that we can to not let them completely silence the public disagreement. Okay, so that means, and thank you, Michael, and thank you, Damien, for doing shows like this. It means whatever you can do in the public sphere to show that you don't agree, really do it. And when I think it was last week or the week before, I can't remember exactly, but I was actually trying to be subtle and in code and
you
say,
don't have to be subtle
do
today.
do the opposite of whatever they're telling you to do. And I was trying to keep us on the air by being as subtle as I possibly could. What I meant really was now, for example, just my thoughts, just my suggestions, but they don't want you to meet, they don't want you to interact with people. They're trying to destroy us as social animals to make us obedient and broken. Yep. So now is the time to form networks, find people that think on the same page and want to do something. Form networks now, because we're going to need them to stay sane and to have some chance to push back against this thing. Yeah, so by all means, meet people on the internet and blah, 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 and whatever, but form networks in the real world. Meet up with people in the real world, talk and do. Now's the time. Now is the time to do that.
It's true, David.
Okay, yeah. Damien,
before
I go...
I'll just say, I think what David said was great. Oh, sorry.
Just before I go to you, I just want to have a confession. We didn't actually expose it. We went there because Damien wanted to look at swatches because he doesn't like grey.
The Dulux colour chart. This is what colour I want my room.
Wow, blue.
I don't need much room in the cupboard. You could make it a bit smaller and I could spread out a bit more. Yeah. They're very helpful, very kind, very generous people out there, as you can well imagine. What else do you expect from the Andrews government? No, but I think Dave's right. Well, it's just that war on love, they're declaring war on love ultimately. Maybe God is love, because you start going down these rabbit holes and so much more is being revealed about myself. I didn't want to have to go through this to understand it. And I think that thing that Michael was talking about, that trying to just rationalize your existence all the time. So wherever I find myself outside of my home, I start to rationalize why I'm here, just in case I do have an interaction with a police officer. And that police officer might be fine, or they might actually say no, they might come in hard and they feel justified and they're allowed to. That's incredible. So we're driving out to the Resilience Centre, we're driving down Sydney Road, there's a group of us and we feel good because we're in this little van and there's quite a group and we're having a laugh and it's funny, even though we feel like we're under oppressive circumstances, because like they've said, we're together. We're together. I even said, my son, I said, get off your computer, mate. You have to come. Just because I wanted him to sit with other humans and have to interact with them, which he found a way of not doing just by sitting and saying nothing all night. But it doesn't matter. But anyway, so we're driving down. He doesn't ask me, but I'll get him. But we're driving down Sydney Road. So what? Big deal. We were within the 25-kilometre zone, so that's off the... And we saw blue lights up above, up the front, half a kilometre down. And so what did we do? we turned off. We turned off because it's not worth it. Now, maybe we would have just been waved past, maybe nothing. Maybe someone's been pulled over for speeding. Who would know? But we turned off out of fear, and everyone in the car thought that was the right thing to do. And we went through the back route to the Resilience Centre. And that's just,
it's
exactly.
really
Really?
it's disgusting.
Really?
Disgusting.
The fear.
But
The fear.
that's how we. That's
Can I say
how we concur.
one thing really briefly? I really wanted to give, to send out a look, all my best and all my most heartfelt sympathies to people who've lost work this week because of all these lies and bullshit. I just wanted to acknowledge that they're in a really, really difficult situation. And if people can support each other through this hellish mess in any way, they really should do that. There's going to be a lot of people who've made the right choice, in my view, the right moral choice, but they're gonna really suffer for that right moral choice. So if there's any way that we can all support them and do whatever we can for them, then we really should, because my sympathies absolutely go out to them.
I echo those sympathies totally. It's been a terrible week, and it's kind of been a D-Day week for people, October 15. So, yes.
Sorry, guys.
Oddly, all around the world, it looks like.
We have this other
Thanks, Psychopath. There's Psychopath did that.
Our local one.
Yeah. Anyway, we have to go, gentlemen, we're going to go to this other show. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great show. I think this is how we'll do this show. This show will be here and on Rumble, and I think the numbers will grow and local and stuff, and we'll just say what it is until they quash us. So we're the Canaries. We're the Canaries.
Good guys.
Good night,
Peace
gentlemen. I'll go
Good night.
out with this, and I'll see you. I'll go out with this.
Thank you,
guy,
team.
'cause I love
Cluster,
him.
Damien.
As I said, they have a sign in when you're driving into Cape May that you could get on a boat and watch a whale watch. You don't have to get on the boat to watch the whale watch. You can see it all over the place, what people look like. They've lost their self-respect. They've lost their dignity. They lost their courage. They lost their fight. And it's global. People, how could you listen to a little fucking prick, scumbag piece of shit like Danny Andrews down in there in Australia? A little nothing of a boy. You look at this clown of a jerk-off. Look at that little fucking asshole. That was disrespectful of me. I'm sorry. Assholes have a positive function. The shit coming out.